Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Beastly Eel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Invincible. So it starts off with a recap of the battle between Invincible and um, Omni-Man. So what happens here is we see a, a brother and a sister with the brother's niece, and they're having fun in the park and everything else, and he's going to go get coffee or donuts or something while his family goes upstairs. While that's going on, that's when Mark and Omni-Man fight really destroys the city. And in fact, he sees the building in which his sister and niece are in get destroyed and literally collapse. Realizing that they're dead and there was nothing he could do, we watch him realize that the world was his world was destroyed. What we also saw in that scene too was apparently he has a latent ability to manipulate some sort of electricity, but it's in a very minor state. So apparently when he plays patty cake or when his niece punches his hands, he's able to create a little bit of sparks in between them, but nothing further than that. So we then have the memorial coming up of the destruction of the city, with all the names written in there and everything else, and they're getting ready to go. However, what they find out, well, what we find out is that the same guy who watched his sister and niece die is also working for Cecil's group, who is stealing equipment to increase his power. So apparently he gathered a bunch of devices to stick into his body that can generate kinetic energy enough to increase his electricity far beyond what he was ever expecting. So he goes out to try to lure Invincible out. Invincible's on a double date, well, triple date actually, and refuses to go out. And that's when Shapesmith from the Guardians tries to convince him to stop. We see the full parameters of the guy's powers getting blasted away and everything else, and defeats Shapesmith, and decides to get out of there before things get worse. He also thinks he killed Shapesmith. But anyway, so he gets out of there. His wife, however, is very much like, you need to do this, you need to defend your family, like, we will not allow Mark to deal with this anymore. And he's tried to go through the legal routes and everything else that we see throughout this episode, and it fails. So he decides to take matters into his own hands, and his wife had stated, like, at the memorial, there's no way he's not going to be there. And you make him say everyone's name, and you make him realize that he is a murderer, and that he should be put to justice. He should be put up for his crimes that he's committed. So, Invincible, the family, Mark and his family are going to the memorial because the idea is Nolan died there. So they're all going as, people who had lost family members there. And Mark's not sure if he should be there because, he knows he was part of the reason why it happened. And Eve and Debbie are kind of like, you need to realize, like, although, yes, you're right, but you were there defending them. It wasn't like you were there to destroy everything. So he goes there, and we have none other than the guy come there, electrify everything, and Eve is the one to go after him. So Eve and him begin to fight. She finds out rather quickly that his powers are generated by physical contact, so she stops hitting him. Puts him in a locked cage and everything else, and gets him to not be able to absorb any more power to make him more powerful. So he's arrested. While that's going on, while he's arrested, he then realizes he can generate kinetic energy enough, causes the truck to flip over, and create enough electricity to get himself back home. So his wife decides that it's a good idea for him to pretend that he has hostages, which will make Invincible come. So he then makes a video showing his son and his wife being tied up and saying he will kill those innocent people if Invincible himself does not show up. So Invincible shows up, and then the fight begins. And Mark's not trying to fight him whatsoever. He's trying to talk with him and explains, like, hey, like, I know what I did. Like, I know this is my fault. I should be taking responsibility for it. But I want you to know, like, this is a very difficult thing for me. And that's when he goes full on electricity, puts all of his power into Mark's head, and lights up the whole place. Well, when that happens, Mark falls down. He turns around and sees his wife and son burnt to a crisp because of electricity. Scott starts freaking out and um, tries to eliminate Invincible, and that's when Invincible takes him out. He's then brought into the prison where he is locked up, unable to move, and everything else. And that's when Invincible meets up with Cecil's number two, who gives him all the information about Scott and everything else, and explains kind of exactly what's going on and why things are happening the way they are and everything else. In fact, he was also the one to let Mark know that he had escaped to begin with. So anyway, he then, while he's locked up, Invincible basically tells him, "Hey, like I'm sorry. Um, Nothing I can say can bring back people that died, and I tried my best to protect them, and I failed. And it shouldn't have gone the way that it did. And I understand the whole idea of it being my dad, but that's not who I am, and nor who I want him to be, right? So, and Scott doesn't care, and he's ready to eliminate him again. So he leaves, Eve goes to see him, and we see a little ball again observing him and Eve. But this time, we get an after credit scene of knowing for sure we see Landstrom, and it is the Landstrom we saw who we assume got bashed in, because this is very similar to him. Clearly, he's got some significant damage, but he was able to put himself back together. But the part that should be the most concerning that everyone has seen is the fact that we have a bunch of Invincibles. So we have a bunch of marks from all the different universes. We have some who have taken on the role of a Viltrumite. We have others who just have wonky costumes like you would not believe, and others who just are the same costume with a mohawk or long hair. So I'm curious to see where that's going to go. I'm assuming the next episode we are going to have the Invincible army come in to dominate Earth completely. Also curious how Landstrom got all those marks to do his bidding. I'm very curious about that, especially the ones that basically gave up and turned into like full-fledged Viltrumites. But I can't wait to see what happens there. Overall, this episode was good. It was very much pulling at the heartstrings and pushed the story along enough for us to be prepared for the next episode, which I'm assuming is going to be the Invincible War. Multiversal Invincible War. But we'll have to wait and see to know for sure. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like, did you not, and why? And as always, if you like the content you're seeing, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.